So Genevieve is going to show some photos of trees that she took
on the way here.
On the way here. It's a great little project. She spent 365 minutes doing a photo a minute. A tree. Warren, she was talking about a book. Awesome. So Genevieve is a multimedia producer at the what's the newspaper? I cannot remember the name of it. Yeah. Right. And she was actually brought here. This is the first ever collaboration we've done with Associated Press Photo Managers Association. Thanks to Mr. Chuck Knox, who's in the audience here. He's the czar of the AP Photo Managers Association. So we are glad that they could actually help us out and bring someone else kick-ass to basically Genevieve is going to kick your eyes in the nuts with video level 10. That is what's going to happen. So with no further ado, Ms. Genevieve. Oh,
hi, thanks for having me. Yeah, thanks Jeff, thanks Rob.
Thanks, Jeff.
Stoked to be here. And I just want to give a shout out actually to all the ladies in the house. And I just say how stoked I am to see how many female audiences, college students are showing up to these workshops. Because I remember when I was going to workshops, etc., that there was really a lot of females in the crowd. Like, it was definitely a boys club, and that's not really the case anymore. So I'm stoked. So thank you for coming. Definitely come bug me afterwards and ask questions. I don't care how stupid they are. Any questions? Just come talk to me. So, yes. First of all, I know what this is. I'm going to talk about video. And in addition, maybe some editing. And there's some cute fuzzy animals, just for your pleasure. So I actually, a little bit about myself. I actually hail from California. And after high school, I bounced around from colleges for a bit. So I first went to Loyola Marymount University in Southern California. I started out as an animation major because I realized I wanted to make imaginary life move. And then I got a scholarship to Academy of Art. And as I realized, well, making an imaginary life move is awesome, but I think I want to be a storyboard artist. I want to make an imaginary life still. But changing my mind again, I'd always been into photography in high school, and I enrolled in the photojournalism class at a junior college in Santa Rosa, the town where I grew up, and kind of got hooked and found my way down to Brooks Institute of Photography in Ventura, California, where I realized I now made real life still. And so after Brooks, I found myself in New York City, where I got my first internship at the New York Daily News, and I loved New York City. It was great. But after a while, New York, in more ways than one. But now, for the last 5 years, I've been in Seattle, and I love Seattle. We have, as you know, coffee, and we have coffee establishments that Hollywood actors want to make bids on to buy. No joke, Dr. McDreamy wants to buy Tully's, so support Dr. McDreamy. It's also, the land of indie hipster rock bands. It rains, and just when you think it's about to stop raining, it still continues to rain. A little known fact about Seattle: people in Seattle have more dogs than children. And we're all kind of really stoked how the Seahawks did last year. Russell Wilson, our rookie quarterback, is looking promising. And I really enjoyed cheering for them this last season. It was really exciting to cover them. Although I kind of have to admit that, by default, I'm probably a Bears fan because my dad has been dressing me in Chicago Bear paraphernalia since I was a diaper. So, thanks, Dad. But for those of you that have never been to Seattle, I found this map to show you where we're at. It's a bit of a far journey. So I found this map. Etsy.com crafts online store. So we're up there in the Pacific Northwest where 1/3 of it is rainy and 2/3 is hipster.
He says drugs.
Yeah.
So I just want to say I'm really stoked to be in the land of Chicago and grass. Stoked to be here.
Yeah.
I can email you this, I just. I'm here to talk about the collaboration process, actually, that I share with photographers in the newsroom. I play a very hybrid role. It's kind of a unique role. So I shoot, edit, produce, and publish video, and I tweet live from events, and now I'm actually the Sunday photo editor in addition. And in addition to that, I'm also, one of my most important roles is that, which I was actually hired for, was to train photographers video in the newsrooms right out of after I was in New York. So I keep busy, very busy. So, but it lets me out just in time for late night happy hour. So that's not bad. But all departments, all beats, I'm involved in the conversation, the story, words, video. So granted, I wear many hats. But as I was thinking about it, I think, multimedia producer is just such a boring title. And so when people ask me what I do, I'm like, well, I do this and that, and I work long hours. But the more I thought about it philosophically as a storyteller, I think of myself now in the role as a seamstress. I take different raw fabric of stories, essentially. Sometimes they're small scraps, like surveillance video, third-party police video, like that video is valuable to the newspaper to attach to the story. Or, sometimes the fabric is, these long reams of hours of really gorgeous footage for like a long form video. And so if I do my job right, hopefully I can sew something beautiful, compelling, even engaging, something valuable that not only does justice for our subjects, but the audience, our readers. And it's kind of funny because even though I consider myself, a visual storyteller, images are so much of my best work, I think, as a video editor is invisible, right? Like it's the edit, like a really strong, tight edit in a video should be invisible. Like when a story is told so fluidly and flawlessly, it's because the transitions, the cuts, the edit points, the audio are essentially non-existent, seamless almost. And so the fabric of these stories is always different, and there's really no one way to enter or sew a story together. Everyone kind of has a different eye. So I'm going to show you a little bit of kind of a mashup of all the work that we actually do at the Times.
amazing microphones.
So yeah, I had to feel like I need to do a little bragging that Macklemore is our hometown boy. And so that was a clip from 2009. And he was just wee. And now that he's on the MTV Movie Awards, he's big in this now. That's awesome because he's a really nice guy. So as news publications move further up and further into the digital world of online, mobile tablets, paywalls, we continue to evaluate the role of video in our newsroom and what kind of content is important for our readers and how we should convey that content. You know, we're not trying to be TV, and we aren't necessarily trying to put out a major motion documentary. But so where is that middle ground? But you know, we also want to uphold the most important item that I think we should consider is the story. So the reel that I just showed was kind of a scope of what we do. And you know, this is our community from Boeing to Microsoft to the Mariners to fashion to daily life to long form projects. And so even kind of stretching up into the editorial department, even though they are separate from the newsroom, they're doing some kind of new interesting things with multimedia. So Sharon Chan, she's one of the younger editorial writers, asked a local hip-hop artist, Prometheus Brown, to write his reaction to several recent shootings that happened this summer, which included a rampage that killed 5 people and wounded another. This was in May. And instead of writing an editorial, Brown created a rap song. So it was like a sort of a rap op-ed, and it got a lot of attention. And so what we did is we ran the lyrics to the rap in the Sunday print edition, but we also included a QR code. You might have seen those, the advertisers do it, that linked to the video on the website, so people can just kind of follow the QR code to the video.
Never heard of this. City getting murderous. Occupation dangerous like Philippine journalists. Crazy and deranged, they describe them in the same pages that would call them terrorists if not for the melanin deficiency. Gang problem bigger than just juvenile delinquency. Gangs are survival of environments and grinding to begin with. Speaking of which, let's be consistent. Today is called a tragedy, yesterday is statistic. I'm listening. Before I ever speak upon assisting, my name is Young Prometheus and this is my opinion. Watch the interrupters. See, ordinary civilians can police themselves before they have to call police for help, at least a little space to breathe. If you believe all violence is abhorrent to your being, then why you oversee it if the killer wears a uniform? But if the killer's me, it's normal if the victim also looks like me. Shots fired south end, nobody cares. Shots fired north end, everybody's scared. Nothing they can do for us that we can't do ourselves. Point the finger at the mirror, nobody else. Shots fired, parking lot, nobody cares. Shots fired, coffee shop, everybody scared. Nothing they can do for us, we can't do ourselves. Point the finger at the mirror, nobody else. I can't lie, I know the music can be influential, but not as influential as desperation. They saying that you gotta act right if you wanna have rights. But what if you were born into the wrong situation? Moral relativity, this passive aggressive city stuff becoming history quicker than you can blink at me. Rule number 1, protect yourself at all times. Rule 2, always end up, never start a fight. Came up in the era of the hand-to-hand scrap until the drugs happened. Now it's blood at the transaction. I'm yelling time out like Samuel L. Jackson playing DJ Love Daddy with the African medallion, trying to do the right thing. I don't have the answers, but neither does a person who practices double standards. If every death's a tragedy, then join us when we're chanting, and not just when we're singing and dancing. It's too many shots fired south end, nobody cares. Shots fired north end, everybody's scared. Nothing they can do for us, we can't do ourselves. Point the finger at the mirror, nobody else. Shots fired, parking lot, nobody cares. Shots fired, coffee shop, everybody's scared. Nothing they can do for us, we can't do ourselves. Point the finger at the mirror, nobody else.
So that's just one of the things that we're kind of experimenting in. It's nice to have a few of the sort of younger people in the editorial department multimedia editorial writer now, who does a lot of video. And so when trying out new things, is not just in the editorial department. Our photographer, Greg Gilbert, has been at the Seattle Times for over, I think he's celebrating his 40th year this year. And one of the reasons I was mentioning that I was brought into the Seattle Times was to teach photographers video. And so here I am, 5'2", female college student, fresh out of New York. And I'm supposed to teach, their dominantly male photography department video. It was very intimidating. And so while it's been quite the roller coaster, I have to say that Greg, who is the oldest staffer at the Times, is also my most eager student. Especially, he loves to experiment, and it just goes to show that you don't, it's about the photographer and how you use the tools. So he shot a piece entirely on his iPhone 4S that I thought turned out really well, and I like to show during tutorials on how to use your phone. For some reason, my mouse is on the screen. I can't get it back to my. Where's Travis? Sorry.
Okay.
Good job, Travis.
I don't know why it's not playing, but I'll just go on to the next video. Ellen Banner is another photographer who was a little hesitant to start shooting video, and she's always kind of nervous about pitching ideas. And she came to me with this fantastic idea closer to the holiday season. And she shoots a lot of assignments for the transportation, Port of Seattle, and, light rail, and roadways and things like that. And so she's really good with the PR guy over at SeaTac Airport. And she thought maybe for the holiday season, we could kind of show behind the scenes where your bag goes after you check it. And we brought the GoPro with us, and it turned out pretty well.
Millions of us check luggage at SeaTac Airport every year. But what happens to those bags once we leave the ticket counter and head for the gates? The answer, it turns out, is a long and winding path on a series of conveyor belts that total nearly 9.5 miles. Port of Seattle's Arlen Fagerstrom explains.
We're probably running about 60 to 65,000 bags a day during the holidays. The route that a bag takes to get from the ticket counter to the aircraft is quite complex. It starts out at the ticket counter load belt, goes through a secure door. It's like a freeway with a bunch of on-ramps that ticket counters are the on-ramps, the curbside belts are the on-ramps. They join up into a collector belt. For SeaTac, most of the baggage conveyors that we have, they're shared by multiple airlines. We have one particular system that is unique to one airline, and but all the rest of them are shared systems. The complexity of the systems is really has grown tremendously since 9/11. It's a constant effort.
I'm sorry, I don't know what's happening. Sorry, I crashed.
It's a mess.
But the GoPro idea for the SeaTac airport, I thought was just really, really great because you never know if you ask. You know, I think sometimes we go into assignments thinking like, oh man, we'd love to have access to that. But especially as a student, I think I was always afraid to ask or, you know, thought of a story idea. They'll never give you access, but you never know until you ask, and that's exactly what Ellen did. So. And what was great about the end of that assignment, we were there for 2 days, and by the end of the last day, the PR guy was just like, okay, so you guys are coming back tomorrow, right? I'm like, no, that's okay.
Millions of us check luggage at SeaTac Airport every year. But what happens to those bags once we leave the ticket counter and head for the gates? The answer, it turns out, is a long and winding path with a series of conveyor belts that total nearly 9.5 miles. Port of Seattle's Arlen Fagerstrom explains.
We're probably running about 60 to 65,000 bags a day during the holidays. The route that a bag takes to get from the ticket counter to the aircraft is quite complex. It starts out at the ticket counter load belt, goes through a secure door. It's like a freeway with a bunch of on-ramps. The ticket counters are the on-ramps, the curbside belts are the on-ramps.
I had that problem with some of mine, that wheels cracked, and so I had to redo it, re-squeeze it. And then I just...
So Travis, is there anything to just show my computer screen? I'm just gonna exit out of PowerPoint.
Thank you.
Trying to get some honorary title. Yeah.
shared by multiple airlines. We have one particular system that is unique to one airline, and but all the rest of them are shared systems. The complexity of the systems is really has grown tremendously since 9/11. It's a constant effort to make sure that the bag systems are operating all of the time. There are flights leaving at all hours of the day. Those bags then travel through the screening system that was developed and implemented after the events of 9/11. And that system is monitored and maintained by the TSA. So the bags are screened through a large machine, and if the bag is clear, it then follows through another subsystem that takes the bags to a sortation system, and it sorts it by airline based on the bag tag, the barcode, similar to what you'd see at a grocery store. A laser array scans the barcode on bag tags. It tells us what airline it's going to, what flight it's going to. For those few bags that don't read properly, just after the laser, there is a side belt that the bags will divert. The system says, I don't know where you're supposed to go, so I'm going to send you to someone who can help you. And so we have a manual encoding station where the bag will go to them, they'll scan the bag tag with a hand scanner, and send it to where it needs to go. Airline employees then collect those bags and further divide them by first class and coach, depending on if they break those up into different containers or different areas of the aircraft. Put those into the containers, the carts, and then take them by a tug and a little train out to the airplane and load them in the airplane.
And while the baggage system does its best to send the luggage to where it's supposed to go, some passengers may ask, well, how do my bags get lost?
Well, we like to say that it doesn't get lost, it gets misdirected. There's a measurement that the DOT looks for that talks about number of mishandled bags per 1,000 bags. And the average for SeaTac is right around between 2.5 and 3.5 bags per 1,000 bags are mishandled on a daily basis. And you know, that's pretty good compared to the airports throughout the country. May not be that they're really lost. They just maybe they get put on the wrong flight, or they missed the flight they're supposed to be on. There can be a number of reasons. You know, when you have several thousand conveyor belts and motors and things that can go wrong, it takes a full-time staff to maintain it.
Thanks for your patience through that one, but yeah, that was a really fun to do. And again, kind of on the theme of, you never know, just ask. And they were really eager to show us around. While I'm here, I am actually going to go back to Ray to his piece. Because at first he was very hesitant. He was very wary of the digital SLRs, and once he got his sales times assigned iPhone, I was showing him all that he could do with it, and so he built a contraption, and you'll see where it is in this video, specifically for the iPhone. But like I said, I show this to classes that I'm teaching mobile for, because it's really just, it's about the photographer, not the tool.
Hi, I'm Al Sweckhammer, and I'm the owner of this 1960 Auto. This car was made by DKW. This car was originally a 3-cylinder, 2-stroke motor, which produced an awful lot of smoke. And I decided to create an electric car. The car is powered by an Azure motor and controller. It's a 3-phase AC motor with regenerative braking. It's powered by 60 lithium-ion cells, goes for about 60 miles on the charge, and the charge takes about 8 hours to complete. It took 4.5 years to do both the restoration and the conversion to electric.
To start, just turn the ignition on. You have to wait about 15 seconds for the contactors to kick in. And once they've done so and the stream's all lit and everything, you flip the switch for forward and off and away we go. Drives just like a regular car, just doesn't have any smoke.
So, you know, it's nothing really extravagant, but just something really simple that we can pair with the story. And he had a fantastic filming that. And so, and when he brings it to me and I edit it, and he's really happy with the edit that I make, then he's excited to go and shoot another video. And that's kind of the relationship that I try to establish with the photographers, because it's really important to me that I have their trust. You know, when they bring me images and audio and video that they've shot, but what I try to do as best I can is to edit into a piece that still has their style and approach, because that means a lot to me too. And so, doing features is really fun. And we had this last year was really big for news in Seattle, especially when it came to referendum 71, which passed this last election year. And so I think we are one of 7 states now that allow same-sex marriages to be recognized by the state. And early December, the King County Recorder's Office opened up their office at midnight for same-sex couples to come and receive their marriage license. They were not officially allowed to be married a few days later, but because December 7th, I believe it was the official day that same-sex couples could get their marriage license, they opened it up at midnight, and it ended up being a pretty festive atmosphere. So Bettina Hansen, fantastic photographer, who also shoots, edits, and produces video. She was at the Hartford Current prior to that. Her and I went and spent a long night covering the evening, where over 200 couples lined up well into the day. The first couple that lined up at the recorder's office was something like 4:30 p.m. Because they wanted to be first in line to receive their marriage license. So coupled with stills and video that I shot, we turned this something around like 5, 6 in the morning.
Here we are about to issue the first marriage licenses in the state of Washington and in King County to same-sex couples. It's thanks to a courageous legislature and a courageous governor. And it's also thanks to the people of the state of Washington who truly embraced their most noble and fundamental beliefs about fairness, equality, and justice. And there are individual stories of those who will get licenses tonight and in the coming days and have an opportunity to marry after many years of waiting. And those are important stories. But the big story is that we're taking another step forward as a county, as a state, as a society, as a nation.
It means so much, it's really hard to put it into words. It's a lot of emotion. You know, it's joy, it's wonder, it's relief, it's a long time coming. Long time coming. I never thought it would be very tough.
So we feel like we've been married for the last year and a half, but tonight's important because it makes it legal, really legal. And in our hearts we're married, just like a lot of other people here who've been married for a lot longer than we have. And it's a fun night to come out and celebrate that for ourselves and for everyone else here.
Yeah, I think the ceremony, so it felt real, but it wasn't real, but now it actually feels 100% real. So we're just really happy to celebrate and be with culture, the husbands instead of partners, domestic partnerships, we just doesn't feel the same stuff. sexy.
She has a dress, an outfit, they wear rings and everything, the girls have their outfits, so where this is it. This is just the final piece of it. So it makes it work. Anxious, very, very anxious. You guys are ready to just get it all done. Yeah. It's very exciting. Yeah.
The ladies are all set. Yeah, you guys are all good. So, congratulations. Thank you. You guys can be on your way.
And it's time for us to embrace all of our fellow Washingtonians, regardless of sexual orientation, recognizing that we are all created equal, and now we have equal rights to marry.
So that was a really, really fun piece to work with the team on. Just wanted to go back to our Senator Ed Murray. That's in the middle with his partner. They've been together like 25 years as well. So that was kind of a part of the story that we covered throughout this initiative in the past. But I was noticing, and I'd like to mention, I probably need to call myself out on work as well. As, it's a long, when it's a long night and you're tired and you're shooting, it's really easy to get sloppy. And I'm the first to admit it that sometimes I do. Sometimes I'm tired and I'm not checking my audio correctly. And so I wanted to point out that first couple where the audio was coming in a little hot. That's an example of it. And there's really, no excuse, but it's definitely something to recognize in your work. That when I come back with an edit, I'm like, man, I didn't quite get that, or I'm always trying to improve myself too, because I still feel like I'm learning something with each assignment. And something that regarding audio that I always tell students when they send me their work and I critique it, I'm like, try to think, good audio is so important in the post-production. And then I always kind of compare it to like having roommates. Like everyone's had a roommate before, so I think of like good audio and timeline when we're using Final Cut or Premiere. Good audio is like a good roommate. They come in quietly. You don't really know they're there. They're very respectful of you and things around in the room, and the apartment, and the house. And then a bad roommate, comes in at, late at night, stomping, slam, and when they leave, they slam the door. And so I kind of use that analogy with audio, because you want the good roommate to come in and leave quietly as well. So whether it's ambient audio or interview. And let's see. So the next piece I wanted to show is actually, I get asked a lot after I speak or I talk with photographers, that people that are just getting into video or haven't really dabbled in it yet, is how do you balance? I mean, when you're out on assignment and your photo editor wants you to concentrate on stills, but then at the same time, it's like, well, I need to shoot some video, like Eric was talking about, like a quick hit, a quick clip. lot of photographers that are new to video get frustrated in trying to do that, and how does that work? What is the balance? And so I think someone that does that really well in our staff is Steve Freeman, who is also a graduate of Brooks, ironically enough, although I always joke with him to make him feel old that I graduated 31 years after he did. But I went to Steve and I was like, I'm going to get approached of how do you balance, because I shoot still sometimes on assignment in addition to video. And so I asked him to just kind of put in his 2 cents, because I figured he could probably explain it better than I could.
Okay, Genevieve said this is going to be super raw. So I'll pick up a few comments about video. I think a lot of still photographers, when they first start out, have fears about video because they don't really know what the heck. But I approach video while shooting stills just the way I shoot stills. I don't change much. I shoot it like a photojournalist. And of course you want to hold the camera still, you want to have in and out points, but those things come as you learn to shoot video. But in the beginning, and shooting those stills and video at the same time, I treat them pretty similarly. Sound is another thing, because you want to be very aware of sounds while you are shooting video, of course. And that's a challenge, but I just use a mic on the camera and try to get fairly close when people are speaking. But I love action. I run around and shoot a lot where I'm sticking the camera in places that cameras probably shouldn't go. I love using the GoPro. And I think, when I'm shooting both, I'll shoot maybe 70% video, 20 or 30% stills, because video is harder when it comes to an edit to tell a story with. So don't be afraid of doing both. And I would, in the beginning, just shoot as if you were shooting your natural style. I mean, because the style is important. You want to be yourself when you shoot both. So I think working with Genevieve is an incredible luxury, because she's a great editor, and she can see a lot more into the separate clips that you hand over. I hand over tons because I shoot so much on project.
You see that list behind him on his desk? That's what I have to deal with when I go back. So that's all the clips and lists that he's talking. It's going to be fun.
Especially. So I will always look at my work, I'll make notes, have ideas about certain clips that might work together, but then I just push it over to her and let her do the edit. And I think that's a beautiful thing, because especially with Genevieve, more with an artistic way, she does it. I'm more nuts and bolts, she's more aesthetics and telling the story that way. So it's a good marriage in a way. It's a luxury, because editing is time consuming and hard. I don't have the patience. And Genevieve really does. So I work on relationships with her.
That's some words from Steve, and Steve is really great to work with, and that's kind of the role that I'm pretty comfortable with now. I think the goal is to get photographers to shoot more video, and to get them to shoot more video, they need to be handing them off to someone that they trust. And I work extremely hard to make sure I develop a relationship with each photographer, because they all have different personalities. So that requires me to turn on or off different parts about my personality, kind of like what Preston was talking about yesterday. When you start talking to someone, you feel for their personality. And the same goes in a working relationship. You know how people work and the styles that they like. And for example, Alan Berner, who's a fantastic photographer, he really likes images with audio. So he'll hand me, a dozen or so stills and collect audio with an Adderall, and he really likes and enjoys that type of video technique and gear and everything, but I think what I really wanted to share with you today is something that I do particularly in my work, and that's looking for subtlety in a video edit. And I mean, we do it as still photographers too. It's technically like the moment, right? We look for the right moment when something is happening. And the same thing goes for video, but sometimes we often overlook subtlety when it can be really, really strong. And a project that I worked on with Steve in 2011 was the Elwha. Two dams that are over 100 years old were going to be removed. It was one of the largest restoration projects in America. And Steve and our environmental reporter, Linda Mapes, covered it for the better half of the year. And we ended up producing a really nice package and a video that I'll be showing you later. But I wanted to take you through a few of the clips and kind of the editing process that I do when I work with clips, kind of the clips that Steve was talking about. And so I just wanted to go through a whirlwind edit of, you know, when Steve's out there and he's shooting with his eye, and then once he hands it over to me, my eye and my sort of aesthetic, as he was talking about, comes in. And so a lot of it has to do is looking for subtleties. I know Bresson has this great quote about looking for the moment and capturing it in a box, and that's what I look for with subtleties. And I will watch a clip maybe 3 or 4 times just to make sure that I'm getting the right moment that I think will have the most impact in that edit. And granted, you know, sometimes I'm making very short 1-minute videos, and I need to be sure that I'm grabbing, you know, the right moments. I'm capturing the right subtleties in that box. So these are some clips from this project, Removing the Dam, Story of the River. So I'm going to kind of show you these clips.
Well, if the electricity goes out, and now you don't have an electric motor, how do you do that? So we've got an air compressor with an backup air motor on this thing, and that takes forever to go down to do that. So we've had those circumstances, you know.
So this clip, you know, on its own, granted you don't really know what's going on, those of you who haven't seen the project. I mean, it's a nice wide shot. You know, we have a character here, and it's okay on its own, you know. But looking at it, it's not much. But did you notice that when he hit his hands on the bar, that stood out to me, because this is a dam worker going to be out of a job very soon, because the dam that he's standing on is no longer going to be there within several months. So when I found this clip in Steve's edit, I definitely pulled this aside, because that pat was almost very nostalgic, like how we pat dogs' heads or children's heads, and that's what stood out to me. So I pulled that clip aside, thinking I could definitely use that in the edit.
You know, those folks got the effort to take.
And so Steve did a lot of work in the Elwha River, and something he likes to do is take pictures while you're filming, because you can do that on these digital SLRs. And so what's neat to see these clips is to see Steve's eye, the moment that he releases the shutter. And so I sometimes think, would I have released the shutter yet? And, you know, I can't really use that whole clip because he pauses in it, but it's really interesting to see that side and see Steve's vision.
That's watching the Asian shot. Yeah, I've never seen your shot in getting here. I wish I could see it too. Sweet. Let's see if it's in focus.
So it's about having faith too. So Steve shot a lot of his underwater work. We now have an actual underwater camera, but he uses a fish tank, and he puts the 5D in a fish tank, gets on the waders and goes under. So he's really not able to see through the lens what's happening. So a lot of these clips were shot on faith. Granted, he got some good stuff. And so this next clip I'm about to show you has to do with patience. When you're shooting video, you have to have patience. It's very easy with still photography to release the shutter and grab the moment, but with video, sometimes you have to wait, especially in a scene like this, to find the right tail flip or for the fish to jump, and you have to keep the camera rolling. And so there were a lot of clips like this, because Steve, you can't control the situation, but he's very particular on just the right moment. So as you can see, a very long clip. And again, it's also about waiting for the right moment. So when you watch this clip, take a look at what Steve, or how Steve found the right frame. Obviously, I can't use the audio. The audio is useless to me. So this made it much better still, and is still great. And she leaned over. And animals are always funny. So it's great to watch what they do. Like when we watched Eric's turkey video yesterday. And so I really liked this clip because I was looking for like a subtle turn or one to walk out of frame or something to walk out of frame. So watch this clip and take a look and see if you can figure out which moment that I used. Or which moment would you use? And so those of you that are just starting out in video, I'm just going to emphasize right now, ambient audio is your friend. Always write on your hand to make a note that always collect room noise, ambient audio, because it's going to save you in post-production. Because I don't know who has the funnier face in this, the bird or the scientist.
Head and body molds are none. Yeah, primary molds. None of these should be multi, so.
So showing you these clips, I mean, they're okay on their own, right? Had you seen them or had they been kind of paired together as so, not a very strong piece. But it's my job to find sort of the, like I said, the subtleties and the really beautiful moments that can work, as a whole. Like that saying goes, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts.
This took to put in, and we're just going to take it down. It's one of the few large-scale restoration acts we'll see in our professional lifetime. To open up this much habitat with one action is very unique.
we really enjoy making trailers for our longer form project, and this was a fun project to work on. And, this was Emmy nominated, and also won the really big Advancement of Science Award. So it was pretty cool. But that's pretty much I just wanted to give you a glimpse of what I do, and it keeps me really busy, but it also keeps me in tune with story, not leaving any detail overlooked. And so yeah, I just want to thank you all for listening and staying the second day. Do you have any questions?
Is there anywhere we can see the final thing of the?
Sure, yeah. I was planning on showing it, but I think my hour's up. You guys want to watch it?
Yeah.
How long is it?
It's 9 minutes.
Yeah. If you don't want to watch, you can just close your eyes. You won't see it.
See, trailers work. They make it fun.
The Elwha River in the Olympic Mountains of Washington State is a special place. It offers secret worlds of quiet, intimate beauty, both on the surface and below, where the light is soft and the water clean, clear, and cold. Since 1910, the river has been blocked by 2 dams. Even though they're threatened with extinction, incredibly, the salmon still come back to the river every year, only to be blocked at the lower dam, built without fish passage. Built to generate hydroelectricity, the 2 dams power the economy of Port Angeles and the Olympic Peninsula. Built in 1910 and 1927, they harkened back to another era, a grand industrial age in America when things were built of solid steel made right here and built to last. These dams were operated by hand, not remote control, and kept running by skilled workers who loved their craft.
I can feel this whole place breathing. I can know if something's going on, and somebody else will notice it. It's mostly the vibrations and the smell. Actually, not true.
The dams reflected an era of harvesting natural resources for economic development. Third-generation Bureau of Reclamation employee Kevin Yancey was the last to run the Elwha hydroelectric project before the generators were switched off for good in preparation for dam removal in June 2011.
What if your grandfather knew you were doing this? How would you explain it to him?
Oh, he'd go over his grave.
What we said?
He would definitely not agree with what I'm doing. I'm almost guaranteeing it. If you were to take a look at how much work this took to put in, and we're just going to take it down, that's how they would see it. They would say that you're damning the work of all people. You're condemning and just all the hard work and maybe even lives and things else that it costs to do this. So that's why it can get emotional real quick.
You miss it. Sure. I don't have to like it, miss it. But I do like it. It's all dude. The river.
As dam removal has approached, scientists from a host of agencies and from all over the country have been watching. And for more than a decade, they have been working hard in the field to get ready for what is the largest dam removal project ever in North America.
name it, they've sampled it, measured it, tested it. From fish using the nearshore environment to the elk utilizing the habitat of the uplands. Learning anything in a big, wild river like the Elwha is hard, physical work, and it takes a lot of patience. It's very much the art of the possible, and gathering data is no easy task.
Actually, like I heard, 26.
One of the key questions scientists want to answer is how the food chain will be affected once salmon come back. They've sampled everything, even the bugs in the fish's stomach, to determine what the fish are eating.
This is the larval stage of the caddis.
And so what we're trying to do now is get a baseline. So you can see 10, 20 years later, after dam removal, when they're restoring this ecosystem, if that marine drug signature comes back into the birds, into the things that are feeding off of whatever's in the river.
Salmon are a keystone species of the Elwha ecosystem. They affect everything that lives there as they travel far into the upper reaches of the river, and animals drag their spawned-out carcasses deep into the forest. The nutrients their bodies carry are a potlatch, a feast, a gift, expected to help rebuild the entire watershed, not just the river.
If you don't get your coffee in the morning, this is a pretty good way to get yourself perky.
Using electroshockers, biologists can sample every fish in a stretch of river. The mild current briefly stuns the fish so they can be netted and sampled. Snorkel surveys require belly crawling through miles of side channels. Scientists try to record every single fish they see as they crawl and swim along.
Unidentified channel 050 and rainbow 50 to 100.
But Elwha restoration isn't just a fish story. The shape and function of the river valley will change once the dams come out. These scientists are sounding the bottom of reservoirs behind the dam to discern the shape of some 24 million cubic yards of sediment trapped behind the dams. As the dams come out, the sediment will gradually be released, rebuilding the natural shape and function of the river.
This old tree wants to help us.
Scientists are also getting ready to restore not only the river, but the more than 800 acres that will be exposed once the dams come out and the reservoirs drain. An unprecedented replanting effort will be launched using plants raised from seeds of native plants gathered by hand in the Elwha Valley. Elwha Dam removal is a $325 million experiment, the largest dam removal project ever, without precedent anywhere. No one knows how it will all come out. NOAA fisheries scientist George Hess is the leader of an interagency team of scientists doing baseline research on the Elwha.
I think from a recovery perspective, this is a unique opportunity because it's one of the few large-scale restoration acts we'll see in our professional lifetime. To open up this much habitat with one action is very unique.
As the dams start to come down, The world will be watching what is regarded as one of the best restoration opportunities anywhere. If it is successful, one day, all 5 species of salmon will thrive in this river, and the Elwha will run free through a watershed alive with native plants and abundant wildlife.